The lace dress feels like a second skin, intricate and heavy, catching on the tips of my fingers as I smooth it down. Standing here beneath the late afternoon sun slanting through the stained glass, the murmur of guests a low tide outside the heavy oak door. My heart hammers a frantic rhythm against my ribs, a mixture of sheer, unadulterated joy and the familiar, low thrum of anxiety that has always accompanied significant family gatherings, especially the ones involving my mother. The scent of lilies and old wood fills the air, mingling with a faint, sweet perfume of nervous anticipation. I take a deep breath, trying to hold onto the perfection of the moment, the way the light catches the dust motes dancing in the air, the distant swell of the string quartet warming up. This is it. The day I've dreamed of. The day I'm finally building a life that feels entirely my own, separate from the expectations, the unspoken rules, the quiet judgments that have always hung heavy in the air around my family. And then her shadow falls over the polished wood floor. The scent of lilies vanishes, replaced by her crisp, signature perfume, the one that always smells faintly of expensive disappointment. She doesn't knock, doesn't ask if I'm ready. She just opens the door, a crack at first, then slides inside, closing the gap behind her, sealing us in the quiet, sunlit chamber. Her smile is tight, painted on, like a mask she wears for the world, one that rarely fools me. She doesn't say anything at first, just looks me up and down, her gaze lingering on the dress, the veil, the small, trembling bouquet of white roses in my hand. Her eyes are critical, scanning for flaws, for something to adjust, something to comment on. It's a look I know intimately, a look that can strip away confidence faster than a sharp wind can strip leaves from a tree. "You look fine," she says finally, and the single word lands like a stone in the pit of my stomach. Not beautiful, not radiant, fine. It's the careful calibration of praise, designed to underwhelm, to keep me grounded in her reality, which has always been one of cautious, measured approval, usually withheld. My smile falters, but I try to hold it steady. "Thank you, Mom. You look beautiful, too." She's wearing a severe dress, deep blue, practical, elegant in a way that brooks no fuss or frivolity. Her hair is perfectly coiffed, every strand in place. She is the picture of controlled composure, a stark contrast to the hopeful, messy joy I feel bubbling inside me. She steps closer, and the air around her feels cooler, somehow. She reaches out, her fingers cool and precise, straightening a tiny fold in the lace near my shoulder. Her touch is fleeting, devoid of warmth. "We need to talk," she says, her voice low, urgent, completely at odds with the setting, the moment. The string quartet's music drifts in, a sweet, hopeful melody, but it feels miles away, like a soundtrack to a different life, one where conversations like this don't happen 5 minutes before you walk down the aisle. My stomach clenches. "Not now. Please, not now. Mom, can this wait?" The ceremony is starting. She shakes her head, cutting me off. Her eyes are sharp, drilling into mine. The smile is gone now, replaced by that familiar look of intense, focused concern that always feels more like judgment. "No. It can't wait. Not anymore. You're about to make a huge commitment. A public commitment." The way she says public makes it sound vaguely shameful, like a dirty secret being aired. She lowers her voice further, leaning in conspiratorially, even though we are utterly alone in the room save for the dress, the flowers, the silent, waiting space. Her perfume is stronger now, a cloying cloud. "Look, I know this is your day. And I'm happy for you." Of course, there's that careful calibration again, the word, happy, delivered without an ounce of genuine warmth. "But you need to understand something. Something important. Before you step out there, and everyone sees. Before it's too late." My heart is pounding so hard now I feel dizzy. What is this? What could possibly be so important, so urgent, that it has to be said right now? Is something wrong? Is Dad okay? Did something happen? 1,000 terrible possibilities flash through my mind. She takes a shallow breath, her gaze unwavering, intense. The carefully constructed facade of the serene mother of the bride cracks, revealing the stern, critical core beneath. This isn't about a stray hair or a wrinkled sash. This is something else. Something heavier. And then she says the words, the ones that hit me like a physical blow, shattering the fragile bubble of joy I had built around myself on this day. Her voice is low, steady, utterly devoid of malice in its delivery, which somehow makes it even more devastating. It sounds like a simple statement of fact, delivered with the quiet resignation of someone stating the obvious, something everyone knows, something that just is. You know, she says, her eyes holding mine, giving me nowhere to hide. You know deep down, don't you? Despite all this spectacle, she gestures vaguely at my dress, the room, the implied wedding happening outside. You know you're the family's biggest disappointment. The air leaves my lungs in a rush. The lilies, the light, the music, it all disappears. The world narrows to her face, her eyes, the brutal, clinical honesty in her tone. It's not an accusation. It's a statement of fact, delivered like the weather report. The family's biggest disappointment. Me. On my wedding day. 5 minutes before I walk down the aisle. The words hang in the air between us, thick and suffocating. Disappointment. It's a word that has echoed in the hallways of my childhood home, whispered behind cupped hands, implied in sighs and tuts and comparisons. But to hear it said out loud, here, now, when I thought I was finally proving them wrong, finally building a life they couldn't critique, felt like a cruel, deliberate act of sabotage. My vision blurs for a second. My ears ring. The delicate bouquet feels heavy, burdensome. Disappointment. Not just a disappointment. The biggest. The one that outweighs everything else. The one that defines me in their eyes. I can't speak. The words are lodged in my throat, sharp and painful. My mother watches me, her expression unreadable now, perhaps expecting tears, a confession, a breakdown. But all I feel is a sudden, cold stillness spreading through my veins, replacing the frantic joy. This is where I am. This is the reality. Even on the day I am supposed to be celebrated, loved, and cherished, I am still the family's biggest disappointment. CTA. This feeling, this moment of having your most vulnerable hopes crushed by the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. If you've ever felt this way, felt like you weren't enough for the people who mattered most, tell me about it in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me more than you know, bringing these stories to life. The words family's biggest disappointment echo in the silent space between us, a poisoned arrow hitting its mark. I stand there, frozen, the elaborate lace of my dress feeling suddenly like a cage. My mother waits, her posture stiff, unyielding. There's no apology in her eyes, no softening. This isn't a moment of doubt or regret for her. This is her truth, stated plainly, irrevocably. My mind races, replaying a lifetime of moments that led to this. The childhood report cards that weren't quite good enough, the career choices that weren't prestigious enough, the partners who weren't wealthy enough, the very essence of my being somehow falling short of the invisible, ever-shifting benchmark my family, led by my mother, seemed to hold. The unspoken comparisons to cousins who pursued more respectable professions, the subtle sighs when I talked about my own modest ambitions. It wasn't just this wedding. It was everything. It was the air I breathed growing up, thick with the expectation of a certain kind of success, a certain kind of life, that I had, in my own way, rejected or failed to achieve. I remember the quiet tension when I told them I was starting a small business with Michael, just a tiny tech startup in a garage, built on passion and ramen noodles. They nodded, polite smiles fixed, but their eyes held that familiar, veiled skepticism. It wasn't Harvard Law. It wasn't Wall Street. It wasn't what they understood as real success. It was a gamble, and my family wasn't big on gambles, not unless they were sure things, wrapped in gold and guaranteed status. And Michael, bless him, my Michael, he saw me, truly saw me, not through the warped lens of family expectation, but as I was. He loved my messy, complicated, ambitious heart. He believed in my ideas, in my capacity for joy and resilience, in the quiet strength I possessed, a strength my mother had always seemed determined to erode. He was everything they hadn't expected, hadn't planned for me. He wasn't from the right background, didn't have the right connections according to their unspoken checklist. But he had heart, intelligence, and a fierce loyalty that felt like coming home. Their lukewarm acceptance of him felt like another judgment against me. My mother's words weren't just about my lack of conventional, high-status achievement. They were about my perceived inability to live up to the family name, to carry the torch of their specific brand of respectability. They were about my choice of a life that prioritized passion and partnership over pedigree and profit margins. They were about me fundamentally being the outlier, the one who didn't fit neatly into the box they had built. And on the day I was solidifying my escape from that box, building my own world with Michael, she had to remind me, one last time, of my perceived failure. "Mom, I manage," my voice a strained whisper.
How? How can you say that? Today?
"Of all days." She sighs, a soft, weary sound, as if my inability to grasp this obvious truth is another point against me. "Because it's true. And you need to face it. You've always struggled. Never quite found your footing. Your choices. They haven't led to stability. To security." She pauses, and her gaze flicks towards the door, towards the waiting guests, towards Michael. "This marriage. I hope it works out. For your sake. But you haven't given us much reason to be confident, have you?" The cruelty is breathtaking in its casual delivery. It's not meant to be cruel in her mind. It's tough love. It's facing reality. It's her twisted way of bracing me, of lowering my expectations, of perhaps even suggesting I don't deserve the happiness waiting for me outside that door. Because happy, secure people aren't disappointments. And I, in her eyes, fundamentally am. A cold anger begins to simmer beneath the shock and hurt. Disappointment. After everything I've been through? After pushing through the doubts, the struggles, the sheer exhaustion of building something from nothing alongside Michael? After creating a life that feels right for me, even if it doesn't fit her mold. Security. I repeat, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. "Is that all you see, Mom?" Security. "It's important," she says, her voice hardening slightly. "It's everything. Stability provides a foundation. Respect. Something you haven't quite achieved. This is the crux of it. My perceived lack of respectability in her world, a world measured by job titles, property values, and the kind of company you kept. The world Michael and I had consciously chosen to build differently. A knot forms in my stomach. The music outside swells, signaling the final moments before the ceremony.
I need to walk out there.
I need to smile. I need to be the radiant bride. But her words have poisoned the well. How can I feel radiant when the woman who gave me life sees me as a failure? She reaches out again, this time to adjust the veil, pulling it slightly forward over my face. It feels less like a loving gesture and more like she's trying to hide me, to shield the world from the sight of her disappointing daughter. "Just try to make a good impression," she says, her voice softening slightly, a different kind of disappointment coloring her tone now. The disappointment of having to tell me this, of me not already knowing it, of me not being effortlessly perfect. "Don't make a scene. Don't make a scene." The family motto. Bury the unpleasantness. Maintain the facade. Always. Even on the day you're being told you're a disappointment. I look at her, really look at her, and in that moment, something shifts inside me. The pain is still there, sharp and deep, but it's no longer just pain. It's hardening into resolve, into a quiet fury. I will not let her take this day from me. I will not let her define me. Not anymore. My mother steps back, her duty done, her truth delivered. She gives me that same tight, false smile. "I'll go take my seat. Everyone is waiting." She turns and walks out, leaving me alone again in the sunlit room, the scent of lilies slowly returning, tainted now by the bitter residue of her words. The music swells again. The signal is clear. It's time. I look at my reflection in the full-length mirror. The dress is beautiful. The veil is perfect. My hair is exactly right. On the surface, I am the picture of a bride. But beneath the lace and silk, I feel raw, exposed, stung by the cruelest words imaginable from the person who should have been my biggest champion. Disappointment. The word sticks like burr. It tries to define me, to limit me, to shrink my joy. But as I stand there, breathing in the lilies, listening to the hopeful music, I make a choice. A silent vow. I will not be defined by her disappointment. I will not let her judgment cast a shadow over my life. My value is not measured by her standards, her expectations, her narrow view of success. My value is inherent. It's in the love Michael and I share, the life we are building, the resilience I have shown just by surviving her relentless, subtle criticism for 3 decades. The quiet determination settles over me, a new kind of armor. The pain is still there, a dull ache, but it no longer paralyzes me. It fuels me. I will walk out there, not just as a bride, but as a woman who refuses to be diminished. The door opens again, softly this time. It's my father, looking nervous and proud, a handkerchief clutched in his hand. He doesn't say anything about disappointment. He just looks at me, his eyes filled with a different kind of emotion, love, pride, perhaps a touch of relief that I'm finally getting married, finally settled in some way he understands. But even his pride feels fragile, overshadowed by my mother's dominant narrative. He has always been softer, less demanding, but also less present, less willing to challenge her. His love feels like a quiet constant, her judgment a loud, disruptive force. "Ready?" he asks, his voice gentle. I nod, taking his arm. My hand is steady. My smile feels more genuine now, a fierce, protective shield against the lingering sting of her words. I won't be a disappointment. Not to myself. Not to Michael. And maybe, just maybe, by being unapologetically myself, building the life I want, I can rewrite the narrative. We walk out into the sunshine, towards the music, towards the waiting faces, towards Michael. My mother is sitting in the front row, her expression carefully neutral. She watches me walk towards the altar, towards the future she apparently doesn't believe I'm equipped for. The guests smile, their faces a blur of color and well wishes. But all I can see is her. And all I can hear is that single, devastating word. Disappointment. The ceremony is a blur of vows, rings, kisses, and soaring music. I try to focus on Michael, on his eyes, on the promises we are making. He holds my hand, his grip firm and reassuring, an anchor in the storm of emotions swirling inside me. His smile is pure, radiant joy, untouched by the shadow my mother cast. And looking at him, at the genuine love and belief in his eyes, the sting lessens, just a little. This is what matters. This is the foundation I am building, brick by brick, with him. A foundation of mutual respect, unwavering support, and a shared vision for our future, a future that is entirely our own. During the ceremony, flashes of past hurt surface. The time she told me my art projects were cute, but not a career, the way she dismissed my first job, an entry-level position in a field she didn't understand, as just something to pass the time, the constant questions about when I would get a real job, marry a suitable partner, settle down in a proper house. It was never malicious, not in a theatrical villain sense. It was just her truth. Her unquestioned belief in a rigid hierarchy of success, and my position somewhere near the bottom of it. The ceremony ends. We are married. Mr. and Mrs. The cheer goes up. It's real. I clutch Michael's hand, a wave of relief and happiness washing over me, pushing the dark thoughts back, for now. We walk back down the aisle, confetti raining down, the music triumphant. My mother is still there, clapping politely, her smile back in place, the mask firmly reset. I catch her eye for a split second. Is there something there? A flicker? Or is it just my imagination? I can't tell. The reception is a whirl of congratulations, toasts, laughter, and dancing. The air is lighter, filled with celebration. Guests come up to us, offering warm wishes, admiring the dress, praising the venue. It feels like the wedding I dreamed of, the one she tried to tarnish. But her words linger, a constant hum beneath the surface of the joy. I find myself scanning faces, wondering if they know, if they agree with her assessment. Do they see the disappointment too, hidden beneath the veil and the smile? Every compliment feels faintly hollow, every kind word filtered through the lens of her judgment. I watch my mother circulating, chatting with guests, her posture impeccable, her laughter tinkling at just the right volume. She is the picture of the proud mother of the bride. The performance is flawless. It's a stark contrast to the private conversation we had just hours ago. How can she switch it off like that? How can she smile and laugh as if she didn't just deliver a crushing blow? It's bewildering, frustrating, and deeply isolating. I feel like I'm living in two realities simultaneously: the joyous wedding everyone else is experiencing, and the private, wounded space inside me, still bleeding from her words. I try to talk to other family members. My aunt gives me a hug, tells me how beautiful I look. But then she adds, "Your mother is so happy to see you finally settled, finally settled." The implication hangs there, that before this, I wasn't. That my life, my business, my relationship with Michael before the ring was just unsettled. More subtle confirmation of the prevailing family narrative. My cousin, who works in finance, asks Michael about his business. Michael explains it, his eyes lighting up with passion. My cousin nods, but there's a patronizing air about him.
Yes.
Tech lots of potential. Eventually, the subtext is clear. It's not real money yet. It's not real business success. It reinforces the feeling that our choices, our path, is viewed as less legitimate, less substantial than theirs. The feeling of being an outsider, of being judged by the family's narrow metrics, intensifies throughout the evening. Every conversation feels like a subtle interrogation, a gentle probe into the stability and profitability of our lives, especially Michael's business. They can't help themselves. It's their currency. It's how they measure worth. And our currency, based on innovation and potential rather than established wealth and status, feels like monopoly money to them. Michael notices my quiet moments, the forced smiles, the way my gaze drifts towards my mother. He pulls me aside, his brow furrowed with concern. We find a quiet corner near the edge of the dance floor, the music a warm pulse against the floorboards. "Hey," he says softly, taking my hands. "What's wrong? You seem a little off." I hesitate, wanting to protect him from the ugliness, not wanting to dim his radiant happiness. But I can't keep it bottled up. Not from him. "It's my mom," I confess, the words tumbling out in a low rush. Before the ceremony, she pulled me aside.
She told me
I was the family's biggest disappointment. Michael's eyes widen, shock and disbelief warring on his face.
"What?
Are you serious? On your wedding day?" His grip on my hands tightens, a fierce protective instinct radiating from him. "Yes," I whisper, the pain fresh again as I voice it.
She said.
I hadn't found my footing, that my choices hadn't led to stability, security, that she didn't have much reason to be confident in me. His jaw tightens. I can see the anger flash in his eyes, quickly masked by concern for me. I can't believe she would do that. On today of all days. "I'm so sorry, love." He pulls me into a hug, holding me tight. His warmth is a stark contrast to the coldness of her words. It hurts, Michael," I say, my voice muffled against his shoulder. "It always has. No matter what I do, it's never enough."
And today?
I thought maybe today would be different. That maybe seeing me happy, seeing us building this life together, would change something.
But she still sees me that way.
A disappointment. He pulls back slightly, his gaze tender but firm.
"Hey.
Look at me." I raise my head, meeting his eyes. "You are not a disappointment. You are the most amazing, brilliant, resilient woman I know. You built a business with me from nothing. You faced down doubt and fear every single day. You are kind and generous and beautiful inside and out. Her opinion. It doesn't matter. It doesn't define you. I see you. And everyone here who loves you sees you. Don't let her poison your joy.
His words are a balm, a lifeline. He believes in me.
His belief is a shield against her criticism. But the sting remains. It's not just about her opinion. It's about the deep-seated need for parental approval, a need that never fully goes away, no matter how old you get. I know, I say, though a part of me still aches for her validation. It's just hard. On today. He nods, understanding. He knows my family's history, the subtle pressures, the constant critique. He's seen it firsthand. He smiles then, a slow, mischievous smile that makes his eyes sparkle. Well, he says, his voice dropping slightly, a conspiratorial tone creeping in. Maybe we can give them a little something to think about.
Something that might
adjust their perception of stability and security. My brow furrows. What do you mean? He just smiles, his eyes twinkling. Let's just say I have a small surprise plan for my toast. Something we've been working towards for a long time. Something that might make your mom reevaluate her definition of disappointment. A flicker of anticipation sparks in me, pushing back the lingering hurt. Michael had been working relentlessly on a major deal for the past few months, something he'd only spoken about in vague, excited terms. He'd been spending late nights on calls, flying out for last-minute meetings, pouring every ounce of his energy into it. He'd said it could be a game-changer for the company. But he hadn't said how much of a game-changer. A surprise? I ask, a fragile hope looming in my chest. What kind of surprise? He taps the side of his nose, still smiling that confident, knowing smile. You'll see. Just promise me you'll stand tall. You are Mrs. Michael, his last name now. And together, we are building something incredible. Something they can't touch. Something they can't dismiss. His confidence is infectious. It bolsters me, straightens my spine.
He's right.
I am not defined by her disappointment. I am defined by the love we share, the partnership we've forged, the future we are building. And if that future includes a surprise that might just shatter her narrow worldview, well, maybe that's okay. We rejoin the party, hand in hand. The music is louder now, the laughter more unrestrained. I feel a renewed sense of determination. I will not let her win. I will not let her words steal my joy. This is my day. This is our day. And I will live it fully, authentically, unapologetically. As the evening progresses, the subtle jabs and questions from other family members continue. My grandmother asks about my job, then sighs and says, "Such a shame you didn't finish that degree." An uncle makes a joke about Michael's little hobby project. Each comment, seemingly innocent, feels like a microaggression, reinforcement of the family's quiet disdain for my choices, for our path. They are all, in their own way, echoing my mother's sentiment, whether consciously or not. The family culture, steeped in a particular kind of status-seeking, is pervasive. My mother watches from her table, occasionally raising her glass, her expression serene and unreadable. She seems to embody the quiet judgment that permeates the room. It's a strange feeling, being surrounded by celebration, yet feeling this undercurrent of disapproval. It feels like everyone is waiting for us to fail, for the hobby project to collapse, for the lack of stability to catch up with us. The moment for the toasts arrives. The clinking of glasses silences the room. My father gives a short, heartfelt speech, recounting sweet, slightly embarrassing childhood memories. He doesn't touch on career or success, thankfully. My maid of honor gives a funny, touching toast about our friendship. Then, it's the best man's turn, full of stories about Michael. Finally, it's Michael's turn. He stands, raising his glass, his eyes finding mine, a warmth flooding his face. He starts by thanking everyone for coming, expressing his love for me, recounting how we met and fell in love. His words are sincere, beautiful, making my heart swell. He speaks of our shared dreams, our partnership, the journey we've been on together. And then he shifts, His gaze sweeps across the room, taking in the faces of our guests, his friends, my family. He pauses for a moment, a thoughtful expression on his face. The subtle smile returns, the one that hinted at a surprise. Building a life together, he says, his voice clear and strong, carrying across the room, is about building something real. Something lasting.
Something
Significant. He looks directly at my mother's table for a split second, though she maintains her placid expression. Sometimes, people measure success in traditional ways. In things you can see or count. In established paths. He pauses again, the tension in the room subtly shifting. People lean forward, sensing a change in tone. My mother sits perfectly still, her hands clasped in front of her. When we started company name, Michael continues, his voice filled with a quiet pride, many people had doubts. Said it was too risky. Said we should take the safer path. That it was just a hobby. He lets the word hang in the air, and I see a few of my relatives exchange glances. But we believed in it. We believed in each other. We believed in the potential of what we were creating. He takes a breath, his eyes scanning the room again, landing on me, a reassuring, loving look. My heart is pounding. Is this the surprise? Is he going to talk about the business? How? And over the past few years, he says, his voice rising slightly, gaining momentum, we've put everything into it. Late nights, early mornings, tough decisions. Sacrifices. All to build that something real. That something significant. He gestures with his free hand, a sweeping motion that takes in the room, the guests, the celebration. This wedding. This is one incredible milestone in our life together. But we had another significant milestone recently. Something that represents not just years of hard work, but the validation of that belief. That potential. My mother is no longer looking placid. Her eyes are fixed on Michael, a flicker of unease beginning to show. She shifts slightly in her seat. Michael takes another steadying breath. He holds his glass aloft, his gaze sweeping across the room, his smile now broad and radiant. He looks every inch the confident, successful man, the kind my family supposedly values, yet had initially dismissed. So tonight, he announces, his voice ringing with triumph and a touch of mischievous delight, as we celebrate our future, our partnership, and everything we're building together. I also want to announce something that validates the path we chose. That proves that sometimes, the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. He raises his glass higher. The room is utterly silent now, every eye on him. My mother is frozen, her smile completely gone, replaced by an expression of wary anticipation. Earlier this week, Michael says, his voice booming slightly, filling the expectant silence, after months of negotiation. Company name, the company my incredible wife and I built together, was officially acquired by major industry player or global conglomerate. A collective gasp sweeps through the room. My own breath catches in my throat. Acquired? I knew the deal was big, but acquired? He'd never said acquired. And then he delivers the final, devastating blow to my mother's narrative of disappointment and lack of security. The acquisition, Michael states, his eyes locking directly with my mother's, holding her gaze across the room, closed for $25 million. $25 million. The number hangs in the air, colossal, undeniable. A wave of shock, then stunned silence, then a slow, building roar of applause sweeps through the room. People are cheering, whistling, getting to their feet. My mother, her face. It's a masterpiece of arrested emotion. The shock is absolute. Her eyes are wide, staring at Michael, then at me. The tight mask of composure has completely shattered. Her mouth is slightly open. She looks utterly, completely blindsided. Disbelief wars with dawning realization, and something else. Something that looks suspiciously like regret, or perhaps the bitter taste of being irrevocably wrong. She is frozen. The woman who just hours ago told me I was the family's biggest disappointment, citing my lack of stability and security, is now staring at her daughter and son-in-law, who have just announced a $25 million acquisition. Her world, where success was measured by her narrow, predictable metrics, has just been demolished by the sheer, undeniable magnitude of that number. She tries to regain her composure, her hands fluttering nervously. She glances around, seeing the stunned, then excited faces of her relatives, the same relatives who had echoed her doubts all evening. Their faces, too, show a mixture of shock and hasty recalculation. The smiles that were polite and slightly patronizing moments ago are now wide, genuinely impressed, perhaps even a little envious. The air in the room has changed completely. The undercurrent of judgment has evaporated, replaced by a palpable buzz of astonishment and admiration. I look at Michael, a complex mix of emotions swirling inside me. Pride in him, in us, in what we built. Vindication, cold and sweet, washing over the sting of my mother's words. But also, a strange emptiness. This success, this undeniable, quantifiable achievement, was it what it took? Did I need a multi-million-dollar exit to finally, be seen as something other than a disappointment? My mother stands up, shakily. She tries to clap, but her hands are trembling. Her eyes are still fixed on me, on Michael. The look is different now. It's not critical.
It's
startled, like seeing a ghost. The disappointment is gone, replaced by a kind of bewildered respect, perhaps even awe. The room erupts again, people rushing towards our table, clamoring to congratulate Michael, to congratulate me. The same relatives who doubted us are now pumping Michael's hand, patting his back. They turn to me, their faces alight. Congratulations. That's incredible. We had no idea. My grandmother is suddenly beaming, pulling me into a tight hug. My brilliant granddaughter, she exclaims, as if she always knew. My cousin, the one in finance, looks utterly floored, his patronizing smirk replaced by grudging admiration. He claps Michael on the shoulder, talking excitedly about valuations and market strategy. My mother is caught in the periphery of this sudden surge of attention. People congratulate her, the mother of the bride, but also the mother of the woman who co-founded a company that just sold for $25 million. She nods, smiles faintly, but her eyes keep returning to me, to Michael. I catch her eye across the crowd. She looks smaller now, less imposing. Her carefully constructed world of quiet judgment and veiled disapproval has been shattered by a single number. She had built her narrative around my perceived failure, my lack of conventional success, my status as the family disappointment. And in one moment, that narrative had been exposed as utterly, spectacularly wrong. The victim, the disappointment, had just turned the tables, not with an angry word or a defiant gesture, but with undeniable, quantifiable success. It wasn't just karma. It was a strategic move, a silent, devastating answer to a lifetime of criticism, delivered in front of the very audience who had witnessed and sometimes participated in her judgment. She had been completely blindsided, rendered speechless and powerless in the face of our unexpected, massive win. She starts to move towards me, slowly, cautiously, navigating the throng of congratulating guests. Her usual brisk, confident stride is gone. She looks uncertain. When she reaches me, the noise of the celebration seems to recede. We stand there, in the middle of the swirling crowd, the center of attention, yet utterly alone in our shared history. She opens her mouth to speak, then closes it. Her eyes are wet, glistening. Is it pride? Relief? Regret? I can't tell. The mask is completely off now, revealing a raw, vulnerable face I rarely see. She begins, her voice barely a whisper, shaky and uncertain. I had no idea. 25 million. That's incredible. There's no mention of the words she spoke just hours ago.
No he parlé.
Just this stunned acknowledgement of the sheer scale of our success. The disappointment is gone, replaced by a bewildered awe. It's clear the number has fundamentally altered her perception of me, of Michael, of our life together. It's a victory, undoubtedly. A profound public vindication. But it's also bittersweet. It shouldn't have taken this. It shouldn't have taken $25 million for her to see my worth, to see the validity of my choices, to see that I wasn't a disappointment. The validation, while powerful, is tainted by the knowledge that it's tied to an external, financial metric. I look at her face, searching for something, anything, that speaks to love and acceptance outside of achievement. It's not there. Not yet, anyway. Maybe it never will be. I feel Michael's hand on my back, a silent source of strength. I look at him, and his smile is gentle, understanding. He knows this moment is complex, not just a simple triumph. I turn back to my mother. The crowd is still buzzing, but a small space is formed around us, sensing the quiet intensity of the interaction. She is waiting, her expression open, vulnerable in a way I've never seen. "Yes, Mom," I say, my voice steady clear. Not triumphant, not resentful.
Just
Stating the fact. $25 million. I don't rub it in. I don't throw her words back in her face. There's no need. The number has done the work. The public announcement, witnessed by the entire family, has dismantled her narrative far more effectively than any argument I could have made. She is no longer the authority on my worth, the arbiter of my success. The market, in its brutal, undeniable way, has spoken. She reaches out, her hand trembling slightly, and touches my cheek. Her fingers are still cool, but the touch feels different this time. Less critical, more hesitant.
I'm
very proud of you," she whispers, the words almost lost in the joyful clamor around us.
proud.
The word I'd longed to hear my entire life. It finally comes, but it's tied directly to the dollar figure, the undeniable external validation. It's a complicated feeling. A victory, yes, but one that highlights the conditional nature of the approval I had always sought. I smile, a genuine, soft smile this time, not the forced shield from earlier. It's not the triumph she might expect, but a quieter, more profound sense of peace. I don't need her validation anymore. Not really. Not when I have Michael's love, my own belief in myself, and the undeniable proof of what we've built. The $25 million is just a number, a consequence of our hard work. The real victory is internal. It's knowing that I am not, and never was, a disappointment. Not to the people who truly matter. Not to myself. "Thank you, Mom," I say, my voice soft. The words feel final, a closing of a chapter. The wound isn't healed, but it's no longer bleeding. It's scarring over, forming a new, stronger layer. She nods, still looking slightly dazed. The conversation is over. The barrier between us hasn't disappeared, but it has shifted. She sees me differently now. The power dynamic has irrevocably changed. I turn back to Michael, linking my arm through his. He smiles down at me, his eyes full of love and understanding. This is my true foundation. This is my real security. Not a number, but a partnership. The music swells again. People are laughing, celebrating. The wedding is back on track, the dark cloud lifted, replaced by the bright, dazzling reality of our shared success. It wasn't the validation I expected, or even the validation I necessarily wanted, but it was validation nonetheless. And seeing my mother's face, stripped bare of its usual critical certainty, was a powerful, unforgettable moment. A plot twist in the story of my life, proving that the disappointment wasn't mine to carry, but hers to confront. And confront it she did, blinded by the light of a number she couldn't dismiss. We step onto the dance floor, joining the celebration. Michael holds me close. The wedding is perfect now, not because of the money, but because the truth has been revealed, the silent judgment silenced, and I am free to dance, truly dance, without the weight of disappointment holding me down. The future stretches before us, bright with possibility, built on a foundation of love, resilience, and shared dreams, a foundation that $25 million only serves to strengthen, not define. The disappointment was never mine. It was always hers, reflected back at me. And now, she has to live with the dazzling, undeniable truth of what her supposed disappointment has become. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you had to prove your worth to the people who should have loved you unconditionally, I'd love to hear your version in the comments. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is. And if you feel moved to, subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life. Thank you for being here.